I feel like I should post some of the emails that we've received from the Dream Big Foundation about what the money donated has been going to, because it's pretty cool. So yeah, the Austin Marathon was one of these. After the Seattle Marathon, which we did, you know, the Bad Idea tour, I had bought Epsom salts from a pharmacy in Seattle, and I put a bunch of Epsom salts in the bathtub after the marathon. And I sat in the bathtub and I was like, that was amazing. And so I grabbed my phone and signed up for the Austin Marathon, which tells you something about my mental state in general. I was like, this hurts so bad. When's the one in Austin? And so we did the Austin. We didn't really announce it. It was more one of those, I just wanted to see what I would do if it was just kind of like me hanging out. Luckily it was in February, so it wasn't super hot. But the marathon was on a Sunday, and on Friday, my buddy, who I was running the marathon with, at 10 p.m., he had never run a marathon. I'm saying this like, I'm a marathoner. I had done one. And he texted me like, hey man, what you up to? This is 10 p.m. on Friday night. And I was like, well, just hanging out. Like Jen and I are talking in our kitchen, and he lives a couple miles away. He's like, man, I'm nervous about Sunday, like, my head's spinning. And I was like, well, do you want to hang out for a little bit, like have a drink? He lives down the street, let's have a glass of wine. He's like, yeah, coming over. I was like, wow. And so Jen's like, all right, y'all have fun. And so he came over, and we opened a bottle of wine, and this is Friday now around like 11 p.m. The marathon is Sunday at 7 a.m. And so we have glass of wine, and then the bottle, I think, was broken, so it was empty, so we opened another bottle of wine. It's now like 12:30 a.m., 1 a.m., and we're like, well, how'd this wine get empty? So we opened a third bottle of wine. Garbage. And then he's like, I think I'm staying here tonight, so he slept over. The next day, I went got an IV drip, I don't know if y'all have IV drips, so. Felt terrible. So the Austin Marathon was difficult, not because of the weather, but because I was hungover from 2 days. But still got through it. Had a good time. I don't know. You keep your feet moving, and you'll get through it. I'm doing another one in Switzerland in July. So. Thank you so much. And I will not break my microphone. Good morning.
My question is, do you remember the first time someone asked you for a photo or autograph or recognized you on the street?
Fun. So, I don't know if this was the first time, but I remember going to, has anybody here been to Los Angeles before? Been to the Universal City Walk? Yeah, okay. So there's a place called the Universal City Walk next to Universal Studios in Los Angeles, and I don't know if this was the first time necessarily, but this was the first time I remember. It was during Gilmore Girls days. I want to say it was like maybe season 1 of Gilmore Girls. And my buddy Ryan Merriman and I, who I shot a film with in Australia called Ring of Endless Light. I don't know what it'd be called. It was a Disney Channel movie. And he was living with me in LA. It's almost been season 2 of Gilmore Girls. And we went to Universal City Walk. And this girl came up and she was like, hey, she had a backpack on. Like, hey, can I take a picture? I'm a fan. And I was like, cool, of course. And so we take a picture and speculate. This is long before selfies and iPhones. This is 2001. And then she's like, you want to get an autograph? And I was like, sweet, of course. And she opened her backpack and had a picture of me, like a... not just me. It was like a Teen Bop magazine or something, like a teenager magazine. I guess I was a teenager, so. And I remember going like, this is so strange. Like, how weird that she had it. And she had a few pictures of a few people, and maybe she hung out there hoping to meet somebody. I hope I wasn't the first celebrity she met, because that'd be very disappointing. But that's the first time I remember. Yeah. Thank you.
Thank you.
One of the ways I deal with
oh, hi. I didn't see your first.
one of the ways I deal with my mental illness is by one one of the ways I deal with my mental illness is listening to music, and very recently I've gotten into podcasts. One of my favorite podcasts is called My Favorite Murder, and so I was wondering if you listen to podcasts and if you have any favorites.
I listen to My Favorite Murder all the time, and it pisses Jen off because we'll drive back and forth somewhere, and I'll turn her on, she's like, stop it, this gives me nightmares. Yeah, My Favorite Murder is amazing, things you should know, and I am unabashedly obsessed with Joe Rogan's podcast. And he seems like a pugilist, but he's not. He's a pretty erudite, intellectual fella that asks great questions. It's almost like people use. I'm not gonna say that. Yes. So My Favorite Murder, things you should know, and the Joe Rogan Experience. It's very like he interviews a lot of fighters, which I enjoy, mixed martial arts. But he also interviews a lot of theologians and philosophers and psychiatrists and nutritionists. Like he has a very broad spectrum of who he has on the show, and I highly recommend it. Yeah.
May I ask how you got into My Favorite Murder? Or how you came across it?
Honestly, I feel like I know exactly who. Sorry, I thought it was Jen. It wasn't Jen. It was girl named Robin on our show, who I call Robin, who's the head prop master. I think she's in a few pictures, like tying us up. So she's the head on-set prop master. Her name is Robin, and she was talking about it. And I don't know why she was talking about it, but we on set we were doing 12-hour days, 15-hour days, and I think she brought it up. It was like, because she lives on the island. Sorry, this seems like a verbal diarrhea. Yeah, so she was talking about it, so I downloaded one and became addicted.
Well, I'm happy that we're fellow murderinos.
Yeah, there you go. The little guitar solo at the beginning. Yeah, thank you.
Hi, good morning.
Good morning.
During the sixth season, we learned after a few episodes that Sam doesn't have a soul, so I wanted to ask if you, as Jared, knew that you were playing the soul as Sam from the start.
Great question. So when Swan Song happened at the end of season 5, I think Genevieve and I were already living in Austin, but I had a trip to Los Angeles for a photo shoot or something, and so I wanted to go see, because when Eric Kripke, at the end of season 5, Eric Kripke left, and Sarah Gamble took over, and I think this was the first time, literally in, I guess, 5 seasons and counting, that I had gone to the writer's room, because we filmed in Vancouver, and so I was just sort of like the actor, like, keep your head down, do your work, show up on time, hit your marks, know your lines. And so I went to the writer's room in the summer, probably May or June of whatever it would have been, 2010, and met with Sarah Gamble, and just wanted to say, like, hey, just show my face. I know she'd been writing for the show for a while. She's wildly talented. I had always loved the way she wrote Sam. She's incredibly talented anyways, as you all know from anybody who watches The Magicians, which is awesome, the awesome show. Maybe I'll be on it in 2 years. Yeah, so I sat down to meet, and I was like, hey, nice to see you. Congratulations on running the show, I guess. I don't know if that's like a congratulations or I'm sorry. And then do you know, like, do you have any plans? And she looked at me and was like, yeah. So next year Sam comes back, because, I had kind of died at the end of season 5, So I was like, how are you going to do this? And she said, you're going to be back, obviously, but you're going to be soulless. And I was like, ooh. And I had no idea, it was like, yeah, you speak Greek now. I was sort of going like, I don't know what in the world to do. And so I was incredibly scared, I guess would be the most easily translatable word. I was nervous. I didn't know. I was like, how do you play somebody who's soulless? Like, what do you do? Like, how do you, usually as an actor, you try and pull from your past experiences. I guess that's what I try and do. So I was like, I don't know how to play somebody who's soulless. So I went home, and when I would jog or work out or do whatever, I would think about like, okay, what would somebody who didn't have a soul, what do I think of a soul? What do I think it entails? What do I think it embodies? What would somebody without that do? I don't want to just be like weirdo, Christian Bale in American Psycho, because I wasn't psychotic, I was soulless. So it was certainly nerve-wracking. But in hindsight, it was one of my favorite iterations of Sam to play ever, possibly my favorite. So I was happy to play, like, what other TV show gets to do that? So I was very excited. I hope you enjoyed it.
Yeah, I did. Thank you.
Awesome. Thank you very much.
In season 14, the brothers spent many episodes being apart. So can we hope that this will change in the final season?
Well, I really enjoy not being around Jensen. I'm teasing. Okay, come on. I kid. I feel like season 15, I hope there's a lot of... I don't think there'd be any way to properly wrap up Supernatural. I don't know the best way to finish it. But I love the idea of it coming full circle to where it almost ends the way it started. I don't know. I'm saying ends because I think nothing in Supernatural ever really ends. But I hope there's a lot of the brothers. I hope they're trying to make the world a better place, and I hope they whatever happens at the end, I hope it's together, I suppose. For a movie together called The Perfect Score, 17 years ago or something.
Yeah, please tweet that one.
All right, I gotta find it. Because we sat there, this must have been, 2002, 2001, 2002? And he and I, back in the early days in LA, used to audition together a lot, because we were both young white guys, I suppose. So we see each other all the time. And then I remember when I had my broken hand going over to his apartment when he was shooting Fantastic Four in Vancouver. Anyways, known him for a long time. So I great guy. And obviously I know Momoa pretty well. Is he in Avengers as well?
Not that one.
He's which?
DC.
He's DC. Shows what I gotta get with the times. He's what? I know who he is. I didn't know what world. I guess my brain is on 2 a.m. right now. I will see it. I can't wait to see it. I hear it's amazing. Have you seen it?
Yeah.
Is it awesome?
90% satisfied, I'll put it that way.
How's that for standards?
Now you're under pressure for season 15 to be good then.
Oh, wait, you want season 15 to be as good as Avengers Endgame?
Yeah?
They have like $1 billion to make a 2-hour movie. To make 20 hours of, all right, it'll be better. How about that? Hi.
Good morning.
Good morning.
I would like to know, as a child, did you have a favorite tale? And if so, which one was it?
Funny. I always loved the Polar Express. I love the movie, the book, rather. It didn't used to be a movie. For some reason, that always gave me. I loved Christmas-style tales. I don't know what that says about me, but I would love books like the Polar Express. I read a lot as a kid. I was kind of a bit of a strange little loner that would sit in my room and read things. I don't know why Polar Express came to my head, but I guess that's what I would go with. Did you have one?
Yes, I loved Watership Down. I was obsessed with the movie.
Say that again?
Watership Down. It's a book, and it was also filmed, and I still till today obsessed with it.
Interesting.
Watership Down.
Watership Down?
Yeah. It's about rabbits.
Huh. Awesome.
Rabbits.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Animal Farm's just about pigs.
Hi.
Hi. In the scene where Nick hits Sam in the head with a rock, and Sam manages to escape to the car, did he seek safety in the car because he knew he was badly injured, or because he was afraid of Nick, or possibly saw some Lucifer in him?
All of the above. I remember shooting that scene. I think that was the only safe place, and I'm not sure. I know. So, side note, our director John Showalter, who did that episode, is going to come on for a bigger part of season 15, which is really cool. Maybe I don't know if that's a public. Maybe I shouldn't have said that. I will to it. So he's awesome. He's been a champion of our show and a champion for our show for years and years and years, and done some of my favorite episodes, and just an all-around badass guy. So he shot that scene, and it was written in such a way where it was trying to kind of blur the line between what is Nick and what is Lucifer versus what is Sam or what is Nick and what is the Lucifer side of Nick versus who is Sam and who is the part of Sam that still feels some connection to Lucifer, even though he's no longer Lucifer. And so the car became almost a symbol of safety and almost a Winchester symbol. Like, even though Dean wasn't there, it was almost Dean protecting Sam. Like, it was written in a really cool way. It gave me chills to read it, where like the safety of baby, you know, it gave kudos and gratitude to, you know, the third lead of the show, who's been in more episodes than anybody other than Jensen and me. So yeah. So they get a cool shelter. You know, they say even though they never had a home, they were never really alone or without a home. And I know we always had each other. Like, Dean and Sam have always had each other, but they've also essentially always had the car as a place for safety. So that was kind of what was going on. Yeah, thank you.
Thank you.
Hi.
I was wondering if you have a special song that reminds you of Sam, or that reminds you of the relationship of the brothers together.
There are a few. I don't know if I have a special song that reminds me of Sam or the brothers, but there are definitely a few songs that every time I hear them, I think of Supernatural. One is obviously "Carry On My Wayward Son." Another one is "Back in Black." Yeah, there are a few songs that definitely, when they come on the radio, or if I'm in a restaurant or something and they're playing in the background, I'm like, nah. Funny enough, "Eye of the Tiger." "Eye of the Tiger" will forever make me think of Supernatural. 40 years from now, if it's playing in my hospital room, 40, 50, 80, whatever. If medicine hasn't figured out how to make us immortal yet. Yeah, you?
Yeah, I have like, for the brothers, I guess there are some songs like with the title "Brother." I guess one is from Coda Line. And it's like the lyrics is "I got you, brother, if I'm dying on my knees," and you know, like the relationship basically. I think it could have been written for the brothers.
Yeah.
And for Sam, like in the early seasons, I think I don't know, Billy Talent.
Yeah, sure.
"Devil on My Shoulder." It's like some kind of twisted. I got the devil on my shoulder over and over. It's like
fine. We're doomed. Yeah, and nothing to lose. Awesome. Yeah. So we say "Coda Line." So.
Oh yeah, right.
Yeah. Awesome. Cool songs. I'll have to tune back in. Yeah, thank you very much. You change sides. Hey, there's your dude.
Morning. How are you?
I'm alright. I'll be better in like 4 or 5 hours.
But it's time to get up.
Yeah, this is me last night. Sleep. Go to sleep.
In Jack in the Box, Bob Singer showed up as a doctor. Can you tell us more about that and how that came about?
In Jack in the Box episode.
The penultimate episode, yeah.
That was the penultimate? There's a doctor?
Yeah, Bob Singer showed up as a doctor.
they were going to. He went round the corners FBI agents and didn't get a double take, and I swear it was Bob Singer.
It was.
Yes, it was. Got it. Yes, I did understand the question. Yes, when we're yes, that is his second cameo as a doctor. As a matter of fact, he was in one of the other ones earlier. It made the gag reel.
Changing channels.
Was it Changing Channels? Yeah. So every now and again we force him to be in it, and he doesn't want to be. He's like, he pretends to be crotchety every now and then. But he, Jack in the Box. That was Bob Singer. So now he's been in 2 episodes playing a doctor. Maybe it's the same doctor. Who knows? 9 years later. Nice spot. Well done. Good to see you again.
Thanks.
My sweetie.
I have to put my glasses on because I can't read.
That's all right. I forgive you.
And in the season finale of season 6, you portrayed the 3 pieces of Sam after Catherine removed the wall that protected him from the memories of the cage in Sam's mind that death put up. How difficult was this to film? You know, you played basically 3 parts of Sam.
In season 6 finale was the one where there's we called him Hell Sam, I suppose, in Bobby's house, and
so was
Sam in the forest. Those are really difficult. Those are really difficult scenes to film. I don't enjoy acting to a wall or to a piece of tape, and it sounds like a joke, but when you're doing that, you're usually acting to a piece of tape. So I'm pretending to be acting like Sam talking to somebody. But one of my favorite things about filming with people like Jensen and God, the list goes, Misha, Felicia, and the whole gang too, Richard, Rock, is you as an actor, you have to know your lines. Like that's the basics. Like if you're playing basketball, you have to know how to dribble and shoot. And then when you get on the court with somebody else, they bring out different aspects and facets of your game. And so it's kind of difficult to shoot both characters in a scene because you're not talking with somebody. And to me, that's not interesting to do. Like I don't want to sit there and do a monologue with nobody to bring something else out of me and vice versa. So that was a really, really difficult episode. That and the parts, I guess it was Swan Song, or maybe the episode before that, where I'd be like Lucifer and Sam in a mirror. Yeah. It's hard. You're sitting there going like, I have to memorize the entire scene and pretend to be a couple of people. Those are tough to shoot. Those are difficult. I love doing stuff like with Gadriel, where, go from Sam to Gadriel back, like that's fun, but I'm still acting with somebody, whether it was Curtis Armstrong or Jensen Ackles or whomever. I really enjoyed that kind of stuff, but when there's nobody to look back to you, it feels strange, because you're literally looking at 2 pieces of tape next to the camera and pretending to have a conversation, and then somebody else is reading the other dialogue, so you don't have to say both. It's a difficult, those are the most difficult scenes to shoot, I think. I love stunt scenes and emotional scenes, and I guess even fun, comical scenes, even though that's not necessarily the number one on my wheelhouse.
And also there's one song that will remind me forever of Supernatural.
Sure.
Sam and Dean singing Wanted Dead or Alive. I'm a big Bon Jovi fan, so you guys murdered that song, but I love it.
We were supposed to murder it. Sam and Dean can't sing. Thank you. That's saying Jared end of panel, but I'm not sure. I swear, it's that mesmerizing. I'll do one more as I walk. Shoot.
Hi, thank you.
Hi, thank you.
So Stephen Amell is wrapping up Arrow early next year. Do you think you guys could convince him to do a small cameo for season 15? And if so,
well, he's going to be filming. He's going to be filming Arrow, right?
It's a shorter season.
We can certainly try. Why do you think Arrow's ending? Obviously, the Winchester brothers kill all of the queens. So.